The disappearance of 3 innocent children has haunted Australia for decades. On a sunny day in 1966, the Beaumont children vanished without a trace from a crowded beach, leaving behind only questions and chilling silence. Was it a random act or something much darker? Join us as we uncover the mystery that still haunts the nation decades later. On the morning of January 26, 1966, the sun shone brightly over the picturesque Glenelg beach in Adelaide, Australia. It seemed like a perfect day for a family outing, and for the Beaumont children, 9-year-old Jane, 7-year-old Arnna, and 4-year-old Grant. The world was full of possibilities. Their mother, Nancy Beaumont, had agreed to let them walk to the beach alone. It wasn't unusual for kids to play unsupervised back then, and the short distance from their home to the beach didn't seem dangerous. Children were excited, looking forward to a day of swimming and playing in the sand. As they arrived at the beach around 10 a.m., they waved goodbye to their mother. Nancy had given them strict instructions to stay together and return by noon. But as the hours passed, something was off. By 2 p.m., when the children hadn't returned, Nancy began to feel a growing sense of dread. She made the call to the police, and a search was quickly launched. What they found on the beach was utterly baffling. The children's belongings, a towel, shoes, and a bag were neatly arranged as though they had simply walked away for a moment. Their shoes were perfectly placed by the towel, and their bag was still sitting beside it. There was no sign of a struggle, no indication of an accident, and worst of all, no trace of the children. As the day wore on, the beach was swarmed with search teams, police officers, and concerned locals, but the children were nowhere to be found. Their disappearance seemed impossible. It wasn't as if they had wandered off into the ocean or been taken by the tide. The water near the beach was shallow, and no one had seen them leave. In fact, no one had even seen them after they had first arrived. The mystery only deepened when a witness came forward, claiming to have seen the children speaking to a man on the beach, but no one could identify who he was. Was he a stranger or someone the children knew? Had he lured them away, or was there something more sinister at play? The more questions that emerged, the more unsettling the situation became. Was there someone on the beach who had been waiting for the children, or had they simply vanished into thin air? The search continued for days, but no new clues emerged. No body was found, and no one reported seeing the children again. The case soon captured national attention, and the entire country seemed to be asking the same question. Where did the Beaumont children go, and why did they disappear so mysteriously? As the days passed, the search for the Beaumont children intensified. The police expanded their investigation, questioning locals, searching the beaches, and scouring the surrounding areas for any trace of the children. But there were no answers, only more questions. Was it a kidnapping? A tragic accident? Or was something darker at play? The mystery deepened with each passing hour, leaving the nation in a state of shock and disbelief. A key piece of the investigation came when a witness reported seeing the children speaking to a man on the beach. The description was vague but enough to raise alarm. According to the witness, the man appeared to be in his late 20s or early 30s, with a distinctive appearance. He was described as wearing a light-colored shirt and dark pants, and was seen speaking to the children around noon, just hours before they vanished. This new lead raised suspicions of foul play, but it also led to more confusion. The man was never identified, and no one could confirm whether he was a passerby or someone known to the children. The fact that no one had seen the children leave the beach or interact with anyone else made their sudden disappearance even more puzzling. The police began to focus their attention on the beach area itself. They meticulously combed through the sand and surrounding area, searching for any overlooked evidence. But once again, nothing substantial was found. The children's belongings were still sitting neatly where they had been left, offering no further clues. Could they have willingly left the area with someone? Or had they been taken against their will? Adding to the mystery, there were reports of a strange car seen near the beach around the time the children vanished. Some eyewitnesses claimed they saw a vehicle parked on a nearby road, but when the police traced the reports, it led to more dead ends. The car was untraceable, and no further details emerged. Despite the mounting evidence pointing to a possible kidnapping, no ransom note or communication had been received. The police were left to consider all possibilities, but they still had no clear answers. It seemed as though the children had simply disappeared, and no one could explain how or why. In the weeks that followed, the police questioned anyone who might have had access to the children, from neighbors to teachers to family friends. But every lead turned out to be a dead end. The police couldn't find anyone who had seen or heard anything unusual that morning. The case became even more baffling when no signs of a struggle or forced entry were found anywhere, leading many to wonder, could the children have left the beach willingly? And if so, with whom? As more time passed, the investigation grew more complex. The police had ruled out the possibility of an accident at sea, and no bodies had been found to suggest drowning. The theories of abduction gained traction, but with no clear evidence, the case seemed to be slipping further into mystery. The police began to consider the possibility that the children had been taken by someone who had planned it in advance, but who and why. As the investigation continued, a wave of theories began to flood in. With no clear answers, people started to speculate about who could be responsible for the disappearance of the Beaumont children. Was it the man seen on the beach, the mysterious stranger who had spoken to the kids? Or was there a more sinister, hidden force at play? One of the leading theories was that the children had been abducted by a stranger. The idea that the man seen speaking to the children could be a predator had the police and public on edge. The description of him, a man in his late 20s or early 30s, seemed to fit the profile of an opportunistic abductor. But the lack of concrete evidence made it difficult to pin the crime on anyone specific. Was he a local resident? A passerby? Or was he someone the children knew? The possibility of a carefully planned abduction was not ruled out. Could someone have been watching the children for days, waiting for the right moment to strike? The theory that the children were targeted, rather than simply wandering off, seemed more plausible as the days went by. A detailed profile of the suspected abductor began to emerge, but with little to go on, it was hard to know where to focus their attention. Theories also began to spread that perhaps the children had run away. This seemed unlikely given their age and the lack of any history of running away, but some believed it was possible. Jane, the oldest of the children, was only 9 years old. Could she have convinced her younger siblings to leave with her, to embark on an adventure of their own? However, the idea of the children leaving voluntarily was soon dismissed, as there were no signs of a struggle or any indication that they had planned such an escape. No one believed the children would willingly leave their home or their mother behind without a trace. Another theory that gained attention was the possibility that the children had been involved in an accident or had gotten lost. Some speculated that the children could have wandered off the beach and into a nearby area where they may have met with an accident. But once again, this theory didn't align with the facts. The police had searched every inch of the surrounding area, but no signs of the children were ever found. If they had become lost, why were there no clues, no footsteps leading anywhere? As the investigation dragged on, the focus turned to a more disturbing theory. Could someone close to the children have been involved? Could a family member or friend have had a hand in their disappearance? The police were forced to consider all angles, but again, there was no evidence to suggest that anyone close to the family was involved. This theory, though unsettling, was one of the few that remained under close scrutiny. Despite the ongoing investigations and numerous theories, the case was becoming more complex with each passing day. The lack of physical evidence, combined with the mysterious nature of the disappearance, made it difficult to pinpoint what had truly happened to the Beaumont children. Was it a random act, or was someone planning this from the very beginning? The chilling reality of the case was that no one had the answers. The mystery was growing deeper, and the hunt for the truth had become more urgent than ever. As months passed, the search for the Beaumont children persisted. The case, now one of the most high-profile missing persons investigations in Australia, had captivated the nation. Despite the widespread attention and exhaustive efforts by the police, there was still no sign of the children. However, every so often, new leads would surface, sparking temporary hope that the mystery might finally be solved. One of the most notable moments in the investigation came when the police received an anonymous tip-off, suggesting that the children might have been seen in a nearby town. The tip claimed that the children had been spotted in a car, traveling in the direction of a rural area outside Adelaide. The police quickly followed up, but the trail led to nowhere. The supposed sighting turned out to be a mistaken identification, and the hope that the children had been found vanished just as quickly as it had appeared. The authorities also began to focus on the idea of a serial abductor. Reports of other missing children in the years following the Beaumont case sparked concerns that the same person might have been behind multiple disappearances. There were whispers of a man who had been seen in different parts of Australia, offering help to children or luring them away. Was this the same man who had abducted the Beaumont children? Were there other victims who had simply not been discovered yet? But once again, there was no concrete evidence linking any of these incidents together. No one could say for certain that the Beaumont case was connected to any of the other disappearances. Though the similarities were striking, the chilling thought that the children might have been part of a broader pattern of abductions made the investigation even more unnerving. Meanwhile, some members of the public began to propose even more outlandish theories. Could the Beaumont children have been taken by someone with a specific connection to the family? Was there someone who had been hiding in plain sight, waiting for the right moment to take them? Theories ranged from the plausible to the far-fetched, but they all shared a common theme. No one could explain what had happened. As the years passed and the case grew colder, some began to wonder if the children would ever be found. Were they still alive? Or had they met a tragic end, lost forever to the unknown? The police continued to keep the investigation open, but the growing lack of leads left everyone with a sense of dread. The mystery had become a national tragedy, and no one knew how or when it would come to an end. Even after decades, the disappearance of the Beaumont children continues to haunt Australia. The case remains one of the country's most chilling, unsolved mysteries, and the questions surrounding their fate have never fully gone away. In the years since their disappearance, the search has officially been closed. But the mystery remains open in the hearts and minds of those who lived through it. The Beaumont family, devastated by the loss, has lived with the pain of not knowing what happened to their children. Nancy Beaumont, the mother, never gave up hope that one day she would have answers. In the years following the disappearance, she held out the possibility that her children might be alive, and she never stopped searching for them. Unfortunately, she passed away in 2019, still without closure. The case has had a lasting impact on Australian society. For many, the Beaumont children represent a tragic reminder of how quickly and unexpectedly things can change. Their disappearance led to increased awareness of child safety, especially in public spaces. The mystery raised important questions about how safe children really are in the world and how much trust should be placed in strangers. The loss of Jane, Arnna, and Grant also served as a wake-up call for parents across the nation. Over the years, new theories have surfaced, with some suggesting that the children might have been taken abroad, or perhaps even been part of a criminal ring. Others believe that the answer may lie closer to home, with someone from the local community having been involved. Some even wonder if the mystery was more than just a simple kidnapping. Could the children have been the victims of a larger, more sinister plot? These theories continue to be debated, but the truth remains elusive. Though the investigation officially remains cold, the Beaumont case has never been completely forgotten. In fact, new leads and suspects continue to emerge. And the story of the Beaumont children is still being discussed by true crime enthusiasts, journalists, and investigators alike. Their disappearance has left an indelible mark on Australian history, a haunting mystery that refuses to be solved. As time moves on, the hope for answers grows dimmer. But the legacy of the Beaumont children's disappearance continues to spark curiosity and speculation. The mystery lives on and the stories pass down from generation to generation. The question remains, what truly happened to the Beaumont children that fateful day on Glenelg Beach? Will we ever know? Or will their case, like so many others, remain an unsolved puzzle, forever lost to time? Even decades after the Beaumont children vanished, a trail of tantalizing yet frustrating clues keeps the mystery alive. Investigators and amateur sleuths have pored over every scrap of evidence, revisiting witness statements, old photographs, and tip-offs, hoping to uncover something previously overlooked. One particularly intriguing lead came from a witness who remembered seeing the children speaking with a man near a vehicle. But the details remained vague, and the man was never identified. Was he an opportunist, a predator, or simply someone with no connection at all? The ambiguity of these sightings continues to confound investigators. Over the years, numerous suspects have been considered. Some were high-profile criminals in Australia at the time, known for preying on children, while others were seemingly ordinary men with no visible motive. A few even vanished from public view shortly after the disappearance, which only fueled speculation. Despite exhaustive police work, every lead either fizzled out or led to dead ends, leaving behind a chilling trail of what-ifs. What if the investigators had caught the right person sooner? Could the children have been saved? Forensic breakthroughs in the 21st century, such as DNA testing and advanced profiling techniques, have revived hope that the case could eventually be solved. Yet even these modern tools have not produced definitive answers. Some experts now suggest that the children may have been taken far from Glenelg Beach, perhaps even transported outside Adelaide, making their disappearance almost impossible to trace. Others argue that the truth might lie closer to home, hidden in plain sight, waiting for someone brave enough to uncover it. The enduring fascination with the Beaumont case also stems from the chilling normalcy of that day. Glenelg Beach was crowded, sunny, and seemingly safe. The children were ordinary kids on a simple outing, yet they vanished without a trace. This terrifying combination of innocence, routine, and inexplicable disappearance continues to haunt Australia's collective memory. Why were these children singled out? Was it chance, or had someone planned the event meticulously? Books, documentaries, and podcasts continue to explore the Beaumont children's case, each presenting new interpretations and theories. True crime enthusiasts debate endlessly about the possible scenarios: a stranger abduction, serial predator, or even a sinister conspiracy. Every lead, no matter how minor, is dissected for meaning. But after nearly 6 decades, the truth remains stubbornly elusive. The questions outnumber the answers, and each unanswered clue only deepens the intrigue. In the end, the disappearance of Jane, Arnna, and Grant Beaumont serves as a haunting reminder of the fragility of life and the shadows that can exist behind everyday normalcy. The case is more than a missing persons mystery. It is a chilling story of innocence lost, unanswered questions, and the enduring human need for closure. As long as there are those who remember that sunny day at Glenelg Beach, the search for answers and the hope that one day the truth will emerge will continue.